What's up, Thumpers? Day 3 of San Diego Comic-Con. We're so excited to be here. Saturday being the big day in Hall H. We just got out of the Warner Brothers presentation. Quite a few movies were brought to us in Hall H. But before we get to any of that, we have a very special guest here today. Bob Shipman is here from the MovieBob YouTube channel. Thank you so much for being here with us. We're huge fans of your work.
Oh, geez, thanks.
Major fans.
When Hector was like, MovieBob's responding to me. I think he's going to come to our hotel and talk about movies.
We all geeked out. We were like, no.
We're like, holy shit.
This can't be true. Yeah.
Oh, thanks. Oh, it's so nice to be here. This is you got a great setup here.
Thank you.
I'm happy to show up.
Awesome.
This is cool.
And this is your first Comic-Con?
Yes. It's my first San Diego Comic-Con. Yes.
Yeah. Welcome.
That's a big achievement, actually.
I've remote covered several times.
Yeah,
sure. Written a bunch of stories, followed a bunch of trailers, typed up a bunch of stuff for people. But I'm East Coast based in Boston. Most of the outlets I've worked with in the past have generally preferred to have someone on the West Coast
for sure
come to the show rather than fly someone out from the East Coast. This year, some very nice folks. Bill Waters from Bleeding Cool contacted me and said he needed someone to come in and on some panels pretty close to recently and said, come on in. So I'm here on 2 panels.
Nice.
And got one yesterday. Went very well. Trailer reactions and doing one on Everyone's a Critic tonight at 5, I think.
Nice.
And coming in got to come in and see some colleagues that I generally don't get to see.
Yeah.
Because they're West Coast and I don't get out here very often. Certainly not as often as I'd like to because this is lovely weather.
Yes. Very spread out.
Nice to be in a properly planned city. And
I've heard Boston,
Yeah, Boston. Well, they just paved cow paths and then elevated and raised all the streets, so it's laid out like
accurate.
like a labyrinth. It's a challenge to
Yeah.
find your way. Although you can do the whole city in a day. That's nice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
that's
is
true.
nice.
People travel to Boston and they say, "Oh, we want to see the whole city. Is that going to be a problem?" No, it's not.
You're good.
Do you want to go to Fenway Park? Okay, it's there. Now, do you want to go to a completely alternate side of the city? Yeah, you can. It's over there. Just walk
Down the street on the left.
Yeah,
Just walk a
That's
little bit.
awesome.
So
but this
just
is great.
Real quick, your first ever San Diego Comic-Con, you've covered it before, you've seen it, now you're here in person. Is it different? How do you feel about it?
I really like it. I really like it. It is not as hectic as I thought it would be.
Ah, okay.
Maybe that's because this was not expected to be like a super newsworthy year because Marvel wasn't showing up.
Yes.
And fortunately, there's been no huge Marvel news this weekend.
Yeah.
So nothing massive.
Nothing
and
massively
earth-shaking
earth-shaking,
is
shattering.
Bob, you're the best, Bob.
I can't wait to talk to you about
Well,
this,
I
Bob.
think that's the interesting thing about Comic-Con this year. I think even for us, we've been coming here for almost 2 decades. And the big thing we've noticed this year, it's been aside from Ballroom 20, which has been a shit show ever since I've been coming to Comic-Con, and some of the other rooms, but like Hall H, surprisingly, not as packed as I thought it would be. Very easy to get into. I've been really surprised. And I think there is some truth to that. I think because Marvel is not here, I think people were sort of waiting for DC and Warner Brothers to do something really big.
Yeah.
We'll talk about kind of what they did at their panel, but also some surprises. Like we talked about yesterday, Halloween was a really big surprise.
That was
with just
fantastic.
how emotional that panel was.
Yeah.
Has there been any highlights for you so far since you've been here?
So far, I've been working and networking a lot, so I have I've been seeing the stuff online later on coming in. Everything I've heard about how the Halloween thing went. That was the people always forget about the connection people have to the Halloween franchise because it's been redone so many times, and there are like at this point, like, what is it, 10, 11 Halloween movies?
This will be the 11th.
Yeah, like 2.5 of them are good.
and
that's being generous.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll go all the way and say Halloween 1 is good.
Yes.
Halloween 2 is better than it has any right to be. I know that they're
Agreed.
going to pretend that Halloween 2 didn't happen anymore, but
Yeah,
it is.
yeah.
3 is pretty good. It's just not a Halloween movie.
Of course.
4, not bad.
It's uneven.
The rest of them, the Rob Zombie movies I actually really like, but they're a mess and ridiculous because they're Rob Zombie movies.
Yep.
But I love that about them. I like everything he's done except for the first House of a Thousand Corpses, which I didn't really think worked. But everything else I think is pretty magnificent.
Okay.
They say he casts the wife too often, but if I was married to Sherry Moon Zombie and I looked like Rob Zombie, I'd want people to know too. But
so Bob, going
it's a
into
thing.
this,
Yeah.
you brought up the fact that I really feel like a sports commentator, or like it's the Kentucky Derby.
I
Like,
know. You-
talking about
ESPN, talking about-
Marvel Studios is a no-show this year. Were you going into the Warner Brothers DC lineup with any expectations? Because I know Adam, Augustine, and I we're talking this would be the great year to show off some concrete dates and a lineup and some planning and to announce when we're going to see Birds of Prey, when we're going to see this Joker movie, announce an Elseworlds brand. All of these hypotheticals that we're, as DC fans, really excited about. Did you have any of those expectations, anything that you thought was going to happen, or were you kind of like, realistically, I don't think we're going to get any of that?
I thought they were going to do that, and I was hoping they wouldn't.
Oh,
really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, because my thought about the DC extended universe, or whatever they're going to call it now, because it seems like that branding is done.
Here's what's frustrating. Aisha Tyler called it the DCEU because she's a fan, and I'm like, okay, is anybody behind the stage at Warner Brothers going to correct that? I'm still frustrated that we don't know what the universe is called.
They hit us with that tagline that says DC Other Worlds. And so is that the branding? Because I remember
DC Worlds to Explore.
My thing was, it would have been nice if they come in with just the mission statement. Just tell us what direction you're going. That's it. Like, I'm not really expecting anything else.
Yeah. The thing is that when Warner Brothers finally, when they jumped in on this, because they went into it reticently. When they first did Man of Steel, there was, because Christopher Nolan was still involved, and at first they had said, we're going to do Man of Steel. We're not saying whether or not this is a Batman thing. It really did seem like behind the scenes there was a genuine hope that they were going to get Christian Bale to say, yes, I'll be Batman again.
100%.
It really did seem like that's what they wanted to do. Before they made Batman Begins, their plan was that Batman Begins and Superman Returns would be in the same universe. That's why they're titled like that. And then Superman Returns didn't do what they wanted it to do, and it's this whole big thing. You can't, as we just saw with the Dark Universe, which I think for some reason is still continuing, but it might not be called that anymore. You can't pre-brand something if you don't know that people actually want it.
Exactly.
Because you're like trying to pre-sell something, and as you watch like that, the Tom Cruise Mummy thing is they spend the whole movie setting up and selling other movies and
forgot to make a movie.
Yeah, well, and not only did they forget to make a movie, the movie that they did make is full of a bunch of stuff that you go through, and it's like, no, I none of this I want. I don't care who these people are. I don't care what nothing is wanted. Whereas the one that worked, Marvel, they started in the first Iron Man. Half of the setup stuff that they do, they don't follow through on. The other stuff is all gone. In the first Iron Man movie, S.H.I.E.L.D. appears to be a brand new thing that doesn't know what its acronym stands for. that Nick Fury pretty much says, oh, Mr. Stark, did you really think you were the first superhero? Now, going back, why would he think that? His father helped invent a superhero that apparently the whole world knew was a friend, colleague, frenemy, whatever, of Ant-Man's. This has been a thing that the Hulk has been out there for how many years? And S.H.I.E.L.D. has been around since World War II and has a giant building in Washington that everyone knows about. But it doesn't matter. Who cares? Because you just keep... The comics have a universe because they wrote every issue and they had to get them out every week because they didn't care because they thought they were writing for 6-year-olds who'd forget it in a week and then retroactively built all this big continuity stuff, and that's how it works. And I think Warner Brothers screwed up because they did what the Dark Universe did, is they started out all this stuff and they said, no, this is what we're doing. We have this big, massive, elaborate plan and all of it's in place, and then they dropped 3 movies in a row full of a bunch of crap nobody wanted. The box office seemed to bear it out. They said they dropped up Batman v Superman and said, "Hey, here's a whole bunch of stuff that you're gonna want to see these future movies about Doomsday, and you're gonna want to know about Darkseid and New Gods and this badass, older grizzled version of Batman played by a guy who's not all that old and grizzled and doesn't." He's a decent actor, but doesn't really have the chops to pull off this Clint Eastwood thing. And this Superman guy, and he's going to die and be angry in there. And also Wonder Woman. And the audience kind of went, we like the hot chick. But everything else you can just kind of know. No, we'll take her. But
do you think that Warner Brothers feels like their brand has enough recognition as Marvel that they could do all that stuff, but then learned a lesson with these successes or failures or whatever, that by the time we get to Justice League, their plan is markedly different, and because of all of that, because of the actual performance of these films, that's why they weren't making those kinds of announcements this year at Comic-Con?
I don't know that they have a plan, but my sense is that their plan right now is to not have a plan. Because
that makes sense.
And maybe that's for the best. Because, if you look at the decisions they've made, they haven't said so yet, but like this thing about how we're going to do the Joker movie like with Joaquin Phoenix, but it's going to be in a different like pocket thing, and Titans seems to be in its own little thing and looks terrible. But am I allowed to say Titans looks bad?
You
or
can say whatever you like.
Yes.
Are people going to like
you could say fuck Batman?
Yeah. Well, no, because if I say Titans look bad, are people going to like dig through my Twitter and try to get me fired from whatever it is I do?
You know what?
I
don't think there's anything we can do against that. But,
yeah, right.
Yeah.
No. So I feel like DC and Warner Brothers, they've kind of pushed into, we've got these movies that we already set up to make.
Right.
And they're moving into them. And it feels like they're just going to make them and let the connections come about where they're about. The sense I got from what they showed, the only concrete thing that seems to really carry through is that what people referred to as like the Snyderverse aesthetic, where these things all kind of had like a unified feel coming out of Batman v Superman, Man of Steel, and to an extent Wonder Woman had kind of a shared look and feel to them, and Suicide Squad is over.
It's broken.
It's
completely broken.
Yeah.
I mean, they showed three trailers, and this will sound like trolling. They all look like Marvel movies, and I don't mean that.
They were so colorful and vibrant.
Yeah.
Atlantis, I expected it to be like shades of blue, that kind of like
real deep,
like
creepy ocean.
Remember like Mel Gibson's Payback, with just like the blue tint of those movies in the late '90s, the way that The Matrix then did it with green,
Yeah.
and it felt like a lot of Snyderverse was that sort of blue shading of
like
everything.
grayish, muddy colors.
We saw Aquaman, we saw Shazam, we saw a little piece of footage of Wonder Woman that was like unfinished, and all of those things popped and were colorful, and they
like
had
a comic book. Who would have thought?
Shazam, the character, that's the world he lives in. Wonder Woman, also being set in the '80s, had those colorful pops. But then you get to Aquaman, and I was honestly expecting Atlantis to look more, I don't want to use the word realistic, but like you know how when movie studios think they're going to try to make a CG thing realistic, they do, like a Michael Bay Transformers, these kinds of like dark, gray, sort of ornate things, and instead it was like neon.
It was vibrant.
Bioluminescent, just
bioluminescent, like Avatar. Like that's what it kind of looked like underwater.
Yeah, they are not, surprisingly, they're not really doing a lot to, and from the trailer, it's kind of unclear how much of this is underwater and how much of this is like them jumping out of the water.
Right.
And
Yeah, exactly.
Chasms and whatnot, but unfinished effects, fine.
Yeah.
But it looks like the stuff we saw of Atlantis in Justice League and Batman v Superman, there was a whole lot of this is what underwater would really look like, and a lot of that particulate effect and whatnot. And in this, it's more it looks like the anti-gravity planets in Valerian. I mean, there's not a lot of other ways to. This, I don't know how good of a wide audience of a reference this is, but if you've seen any of recent Chinese-made big budget for China fantasy movies, like Ashura, which is the biggest budget movie ever in China that just bombed recently. China actually makes a lot of heavy effects driven. This might as well be a cartoon, but we put Jet Li and Fan Bingbing in front of a green screen for a couple minutes, so it's live action movies that don't get released here because they don't have much of a Western audience. And it looked like one of those where it looks like Jason Momoa and these other actors in heavy makeup in front of really, really expensive PS3 cutscenes in a good way. I would say aesthetically in a good, because there's no way to make this stuff look real.
Right.
You might as well make it look good. It looks like a SquareSoft thing. It looks like a big Final Fantasy thing with Jason Momoa in it, and it looks. I'm surprised that the premise of the Aquaman movie appears to be that their plot for his character appears to be, you sucked the last couple times we saw you, so you need to go on a journey and become a completely different character who's more like the Aquaman people are used to.
Self-discovery sort of.
I turned to Augie and I said the same thing. I was like, as soon as we saw the first trailer, because we saw two. They showed us one that I think everybody has now seen.
Yes.
And then the second thing we saw was like an extended kind of version of that. It almost felt like trailer 2.
Some of the same shots.
Complete
way
with
better.
Warner Brothers logos and everything, and a great final shot that actually got a huge reaction. And Adam was saying they should have had that just be the trailer. But maybe because we had the context of the first trailer, it sort of enhanced the second one a little bit, because there's more
100%.
character stuff. But the after the first trailer, I turned to Augie and I was like, it looked like a cartoon, and I don't know if I dislike that because again, these are comic book movies, and they're embracing. It looks like a fantasy. It looks like
it's very stylized,
like Bob, like you said, animated.
Well, that's the thing that James Wan said. He's like, we're very much embracing sort of the sci-fi fantasy vibe.
That's what he said
of this universe, and you kind of have to. I mean, it's a guy who's underwater in Atlantis, this fantastic thing that we've always heard about in books and stuff. And it's like he communicates with sea life, and there's people fighting underwater with like spears and stuff. And you shouldn't be afraid to just embrace the fact that it is a fantasy movie.
It is.
That is what the DC universe
also,
is.
Also, the logistics of shooting underwater is just not possible with a giant movie like this.
Jason Momoa did some shooting for Batman vs. Superman underwater, and I think for Justice League as well. And it's very complex, and especially for visual effects, to have to key out green screen, blue screens underwater. That is so complicated and takes so much. You have to add so much to it. At that point, it's like just do it all.
Just do it on CG.
You know, that's the best way to do it. But
do we want?
We should watch this trailer.
Okay.
So we watch this. We all watch this trailer in Hall H, but just for the context of this conversation, we want to watch it again and also as a refresher. And then we'll talk about this trailer in the
just
second
in case
trailer.
there's anything we missed.
Yeah, exactly.
This is that first Aquaman trailer.
Yeah, so this is the one that has been released publicly.
Okay.
My father was a lighthouse keeper. My mother was a queen. But life is a way of bringing people together.
We could unite our worlds one day.
Check it out, Arthur.
Even this stuff is so colorful. This flashback stuff. Like I think kids are gonna dig that.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's cool as hell. It's got a big response.
I've been looking for you. Your half-brother, King Orm, is about to declare war upon the surface world.
Seahorses.
The only way to stop this war is for you to take your rightful place as king.
Trust me.
That's a dope shot. I really like that one.
You do your best thinking when you're not thinking at all.
That was the worst pep talk ever.
Might want to strap in. Welcome home.
My brother has come from the surface to challenge me for the throne.
I call it an ass whooping. I'm no leader. I came because I had no choice. I came to save my home and the people that I love.
You think you're unworthy to lead because you're of two different worlds. But that is exactly why you are worthy.
That was awesome.
The war is coming to the surface, and I'm bringing the wrath of the seven seas with me.
We're here. What are you doing? Wait. She never parachute. Redheads, you gotta love them.
I love how they're embracing how much of a bro Aquaman is.
Totally.
Super bro.
Well, that's the thing is like you don't get an actor like Jason Momoa and go into an Aquaman movie
Yeah.
or even in the other movies that he's been in and not expect that. That's the personality, that's the vibe
And don't
that
let
you're
him
really
do
embracing.
that,
Because again, he is a character from two worlds. He is Atlantean, but he is also from Maine.
Yeah.
He's an American. Like he probably lived for the most part, aside from his crazy
Probably
powers.
went to college.
But like even the things that he goes through at school, being bullied by other kids, like he lives somewhat of a normal life.
I'm really
in a
excited that
sense.
they're leaning into that American side of Arthur Curry as a character.
Yeah.
That's always been the most interesting thing to me about Aquaman. I feel like when you put Aquaman next to Wonder Woman and Superman and Martian Manhunter and all these characters, you forget that he's more like Hal Jordan, Barry Allen, than he is like Batman or Superman or Wonder Woman. Even though he's kind of always like the fourth member of that sort of first DC trinity, he's always like the fourth guy that's there.
Yeah.
Because he is half of his life just in the United States, just grown up, just a regular dude, and then he learns he's special.
Right.
Diana's on Themyscira. Bruce Wayne is a rich kid from the
Right.
get-go, then loses his parents young, and you know, Clark has that too, where he's just in Kansas for years
Yeah.
before he realizes he has those powers.
Exactly.
That's what's going to get people, I think, to root for this character.
Yeah.
Yeah. Both times that I've seen now the two trailers, two things that stuck out right away is that Black Manta looks so much cooler than Black Manta has any right to.
Yeah, 100% agree.
so dope.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's
I
true.
agree.
In
Like,
the exclusive second trailer that they showed us,
Yeah.
it was like
Yeah.
the reason that I have a feeling that's eventually trailer number 2.
Yeah.
With it kind of has an extended chase scene
Yes.
cut into
Yeah.
it. That's like, okay, wow, I buy that Black Manta is an actual threatening bad guy, which is weird to say about a guy with a big bubble on his head.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
is that the shot of him, like whooping what I guess is Patrick Wilson's ass in the arena there, is that there's a cut away to like the Atlanteans kind of like looking at each other like they don't know what to do, and then like
Yeah.
and then like
Yeah.
it's
Cheering.
like if the angle on that is that they're playing the Atlanteans like kind of like a stuffy undersea if this is if their angle is this is like the old world aristocratic like like European kind of like whoa there's servers kind of guy. And then he comes out and he's like cool this is what we do in football it's
called an
it's
ass
fun."
whooping.
And then they go oh right like if that thing is like that looks like a thing that would be like an iconic moment if they pull it off
Yes.
Yeah,
and,
right.
and if so it'll make that kind of like the honest trailers joke that they did of him where they Bro Sidon king of the Broshin and if they make it work if they pull it off then that kind of justifies leaning into this actor and that side of
Yeah.
it, and that works because that's it's almost like he's good Killmonger, because like the funniest kind of like the most endearing sides to that what is in the movie kind of a pretty reprehensible character.
Yeah.
He has kind of a point is when he's kind of wanders into that movie and in Black Panther and everyone else has up until that point has these kind of aristocratic accents and
Right,
he
right.
wanders into the throne room like hey auntie,
Hey, auntie.
Yeah.
and you can feel the theater kind of go. It's like, oh, hey, this is familiar.
Yeah.
and it's like,
I
okay,
like
yeah.
this guy.
I can
It's-
identify with that.
It's
Yeah.
that thing of Killmonger was right, and we've talked about this. It's the thing
Yeah.
that makes Aquaman interesting is because
Yeah.
he's supposed to be the king,
Yeah.
but his Americanness, his sort of normal upbringing,
Yeah.
and him being bullied and all that stuff
Yeah.
is going to be the reason that he will be able to convince Atlanteans to trust surface dwellers and vice versa. He literally is the bridge between them. He's the guy
Yes.
who doesn't come from a royal family that is the perfect person to lead for all of those reasons.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, you're right. If they pull that off, Bob, like, that's going to be dope.
Yeah. Plus, I feel like Warner Brothers has always tried to kind of go at this as like we're a filmmaker-driven studio. We want the directors to sort of lead the charge and all that sort of thing. And for better or for worse, I feel like it's sort of been mishmashed all over the place with the last few movies.
Yeah.
But I think because of how passionate James Wan seems to really be
This
about.
felt like James Wan.
Yes,
Yeah.
this
This
felt
felt like
this
James
felt
Wan.
James Wan to me, and it very much was about like let's take the best elements of Aquaman, but let's also stay true to the character. But let's not be afraid to embrace, like we were talking about earlier, the fact that this is a science fiction fantasy about essentially this underwater king.
merman.
Mara's hair
merman,
does
yeah.
not look like real hair color.
Yeah.
And that's
No
fine.
one gives a shit.
It is the most it's
Yeah.
like the most artificial color for hair ever, but it's great. So yeah. Guys, I probably have to head out
Yeah,
soon
so-
because I have to go host a panel for Skybound Comics, but we've got
awesome.
a few more minutes. I mean, we can wrap up this and then go into Shazam.
Shazam!
let's do
We
that. I
can do
wanna
a
talk
full
Shazam
Shazam
with you,
thing, but if we want to talk Shazam, if we just want to real quick in this video get my thoughts.
Gotcha. Sure.
I really dug the trailer.
Yes.
I'm happy that it felt like big. I'm happy that it looked like a kid's movie. And again, really colorful. And I think that Zachary Levi kind of won everybody over if you weren't already on board with his casting because of
Yeah.
his enthusiasm. I'm really, really excited about Shazam.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I could be really good. It reminded me, I tweeted this, it reminded me of a couple of Mark Miller comic book projects. Kick-Ass, first of all, but like for kids, like family-friendly Kick-Ass,
Yeah,
where
yeah.
he's putting on he's got a costume and he's figuring that stuff out. And also Mark Miller's comic book Superior, which is a similar premise. It's his riff on Superman / Shazam, where the kid gets into the human adult grown dude's body.
Yeah, yeah.
He goes to his friend and they're like, let's test powers. And they go into the woods and
That looks
film each
so
other
fun.
as he so all that stuff was great.
Yeah.
So those are
Yeah.
kind of my thoughts on Shazam. I feel like we can kind of wrap up with Aquaman and I can head out, but you guys can keep talking with Bob about
Yeah.
Shazam
Yeah.
We will.
and the rest of the Warner Brothers panel, including Godzilla King of the Monsters.
Yep.
Harry Potter, the Johnny
Beasts.
Depp show. Boo, boo Johnny Depp.
Yeah, we
And
booed the crap
again,
out of him.
Insane that Warner Brothers bought both Johnny Depp and Amber Heard to
Yeah.
today's programming.
Yeah.
Where do they hide those two?
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm
I'm hoping they kept Johnny Depp in a cage in the back.
It's a really good thing that Johnny Depp is only accused of actually beating people up in real life and not joking about it on Twitter. Otherwise, there might have been a problem.
Yeah.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy. Last thing I will say about Aquaman is this first trailer good. I really like it. I think I like it more the second time watching
Agreed,
it.
agreed.
agreed.
I think the extended trailer was so freaking good.
Yeah,
And I'm
yeah.
so upset that they did not make that the trailer.
Yeah.
Because like Bob
It's
was saying,
okay.
we get a lot more context. We spend a lot more time with the characters.
Yeah.
We get an extended action sequence of Mera and Arthur being chased by Black Manta. And it is so good. It's all done in one take.
Right.
It's so fun. And at the end, the money shot is
money shot,
Aquaman
yeah.
in the classic gold or orange and green
Orange and
armor
green, yeah.
with the gold trident. And it was really good. So
Yeah, definitely.
It got a response.
Yeah.
I cheered. I was like,
It was
yeah,
awesome.
I was excited.
Aquaman.
well, the first trailer ended, and we were like, "What? It's pretty
Okay.
good."
Okay.
Second trailer ended, we were like, "Oh shit, this is great."
Yeah.
So
Thanks for blowing out my ears, Adam.
Sorry,
my
sorry,
final
sorry.
thoughts for this was I left this panel optimistic about where they were going.
Yes.
Especially with Aquaman. I was pretty dreary coming into it. I wasn't really looking forward to it. But I think that they came out and they performed. Like
Yeah.
they really did perform, and I'm pretty happy with it so far. So we'll see where it goes.
yeah.
Bob, final thoughts on Aquaman?
You know, I don't know where their universe is going.
Sure.
And I don't care. You know,
Yeah.
if the movies, if the individual movies are good,
Yeah.
mixing them together will also be good. The three things they showed look good. These are three really good-looking DC movies.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm on board, and I can't believe Aquaman. Right, if that second trailer is representative of the movie, Aquaman will be better than Wonder Woman, and will be the best DCU movie.
Whoa.
Famous fighting words.
Better than the Patty Jenkins' first Wonder Woman movie.
Yeah.
If this trailer
Yeah.
is if it's as good as the first Wonder Woman and
Yeah.
doesn't shit the bed in the third act, then it will be better than the first Wonder Woman.
All right.
True,
That's
true,
a
true.
good point.
All right.
Guys, make sure you guys go on YouTube and on Twitter. Make sure you follow Bill Chipman at movie
Bob Chipman. You said Bill.
Bill Chipman.
No.
Bob.
Did I say Bill?
You said Bill.
I mean,
You
you
did.
can follow Bill Chipman. It's
Bob
he's my uncle.
Chipman.
He's
Holy
a very nice
shit.
man.
Sorry.
But, I'm Bob
It's
Chipman.
been
Follow
a
Bob's
very
Uncle
crazy
Bill.
morning. The _MovieBob on Twitter.
Yeah.
Make sure to subscribe to his YouTube channel. We'll be right back. We're going to talk about Shazam. And Hector's going to leave us because he's lame.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye, Hector.
Hey, what's up all you tabletop nerds out there? Zach here with a special San Diego Comic-Con announcement. Hyper RPG, Stoic, and Versus Evil are teaming up to bring you a Banner Saga mini-series starting next Tuesday, 7 p.m. Pacific Time, live on Twitch. We've got the amazing Andre the Black Nerd, Shovel, Lasercorn, Trisha Hirschberger, and Steve Zaragoza as our cast, and the one and only Adam Coble as our GM for this wonderful adventure. This will be a 4-part mini-series coming to you every consecutive Tuesday from 7 to 10 p.m. Pacific Time, and you're going to want to get in there and watch it live because you, as a viewer, get to become a part of their caravan, making decisions that will drastically affect the overall story. This is all to celebrate the final installment in the Banner Saga series, Banner Saga 3, coming out on July 26th on all platforms. What better way to celebrate the amazing world of Banner Saga than through a tabletop RPG? We are so excited to bring this to you all. Make sure to tune in live on Tuesday after Comic-Con and every following Tuesday for 4 weeks, but if you miss it, don't fret, it'll be going up on YouTube immediately after.